getting closer and closer to spring training. That means everyone's on even playing grounds. Everyone feels this may be their year. Things are gonna get interesting with baseball. And if you know baseball around this time, this is the time where they start releasing rankings, whether they release the top prospect rankings, the top 10 players at a certain position going into the season. I'm here for the second one. As we get closer and closer to the season, I want to give you guys my top 10 players at each position, and at the end of the season we can revisit it and we can see if I got it right, wrong, maybe a few wrong, maybe a few off base, or I just completely sucked at it. I think that will be interesting. But as you know, with the baseball diamond, it goes 1 through 9, and number 1 is the pitcher. So today's video is about the top 10 pitchers entering the 2024 MLB season. Now I have weighed 3 things heavily into this. 1, of course you have to factor on-field performance, but also I do love advanced stats because they tell a story to whether a pitcher was lucky, he was justified in this season, what factored in. Was his defense helping him a little? Was his defense letting him down? I love to factor everything into these rankings. And then you also need to factor in age, because as pitchers get older, they might lose 1 or 2 miles per hour on their fastball, and that could change everything for that pitcher. So I'm factoring all of these things into the equation, and I've compiled a list of the top 10 starting pitchers. And in reality, I actually have 15 for you, because just doing 10 was way too hard. If you do enjoy the content analysis that Paint the Black Baseball brings to you, maybe you can give me a like and subscribe. But let's go into my top 10 starting pitchers entering the 2024 MLB season. So remember, these are my rankings, and while you may disagree with them, and I would love to engage in debate in the comment section as well, let's also be respectful while doing it. We all love the game of baseball for different reasons. Let's come together and have fun, cohesive debates about it when we do. Coming in at 15th place, we have Zack Eflin of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Zack Eflin is age 28 and is coming off a season where he had a 3.47 ERA with 5.2 Fangraph WAR. If you know about Zack, he's really established himself the last 2 years in baseball. My reasoning for having Zack Eflin at 15 and not higher is for one main reason. His barrel rate and hard hit percentages showed that he was a little bit lucky last year, as guys were able to square away on his pitches, but it ended up not leading to runs like it did for other pitchers. So if he continues to have a high hard hit rate going into 2024, I can see him dropping off this list altogether. Was he a little bit lucky in 2023, and will that luck carry over to 2024? Or maybe he learned something in the offseason to improve his game. But if he does it again, given the fact that he's only 28, he will be strongly firm in my top 10. Coming in at 14th place, we have Gosman of the Toronto Blue Jays. In 2023, he had a 3.16 ERA and accumulated a 5.3 Fangraphs WAR. Now, Gosman is the most interesting pitcher on this list, because if you look at his BABIP, it's 321. That's way above Major League average, and with him having that, he still had a 3.16 ERA. But the thing that's also alarming with Gosman is his barrel rate and hard hit rate went up in 2023, and with him being 33, and as pitchers get older they might get a little bit more hittable, this may be his last time producing like a top 10 pitcher. He was a top 10 pitcher in 2023, but the signs are indicating that he may be due for a bit of regression. So we will see if that was just 1 year, or is Gosman trending in this direction of being a pitcher that's harder hit. Given the fact that he's in the AL East, he may be due for a bad season this year if it does happen. Coming in at 13th place, I have Blake Snell, who is currently a free agent. Blake Snell just won the NL Cy Young, and he had a 2.25 ERA, accumulated 4.1 WAR. The main thing about Blake Snell, and probably the reason that he isn't signed right now, his walk rate in 2023 was 4.95. That means he was almost walking 5 batters every 9 innings. That is unacceptable. That is scary for wanting to pay someone long term, because if he gets a little bit more wild, he may not be a pitcher that can start or go deeper into games, because when you're throwing that many pitches from walking someone, it's harder for you to go 7 innings or even 6 innings if you're that wild as a pitcher. And when you factor the fact that he may not be pitching at Petco Park next year, where he signs is big. But if Blake Snell transitions to a hitter's park and he's walking batters like this, he may go from an ERA at 2.25 to an ERA around 3.5 to 4. Who knows? But we'll see where he signs, and we'll see how his season is and if he's still a top 10 pitcher. Coming in at 12th place, we have Lis Castile of the Seattle Mariners. In 2023, Lis Castile had a 3.34 ERA and accumulated 3.4 FWAR. My reasoning for having him 12th, he has a low BABIP. His fly ball ground rate started trending in the wrong direction this year as more and more balls were up in the air, and that's not a good trend. And with him trending that way, it has led to more hard hit balls that were barreled. We will see if that is a trend that continues or he fixes it, but if he doesn't, you can see him drop off this list as an honorable mention altogether. But given he has a proven track record, he still belongs on the honorable mention list for me. But yeah, this season will be a big indicator if he has changed as a pitcher for good, or will the ground ball rates go back closer to his career rate at 50.1%. Coming in at 11th place, we have Logan Webb of the San Francisco Giants. In 2023, he had a 3.25 ERA and accumulated 4.9 FWAR. The main thing with Logan Webb for me is I think he's kind of perfectly at this spot. He's around the 11th or 10th best pitcher, which is great, but I do think the one thing that's benefiting Logan Webb more than other pitchers is the park that he pitches at. Because his exit velocity is a lot higher than other pitchers on this list, but you look at his rates and numbers and it's not the same as others. And being able to pitch in the Oracle has definitely helped him in that regard. Now, I'm not going to be a person that does the Coors thing for pitchers or something like that, but I wanted to give that context. Him pitching at Oracle Park has definitely helped his numbers. If he didn't, he still would be a top pitcher, but I also don't think he would be hovering around the top 10 list either. Coming in at 10th place, we have George Kirby of the Seattle Mariners. In 2023, he got a 3.35 ERA and accumulated 4.4 FWAR. With George Kirby, for me, he has back-to-back good years. While his hard hit rate and max exit velocity is higher than others on this list, but given the fact that he is age 25 with 2 full seasons in the big leagues and younger than most people on this list, you can put some projection with him that you may not with others because he is still growing as a pitcher. If George Kirby can have a repeated success like he had in 2022 and 2023, he is someone when we redo this list next year, he could easily be top 5. With him being younger than most pitchers on the list, the sky is honestly the limit with him. Coming in at 9th place, we have Garrett Cole of the New York Yankees. He did just win the AL Cy Young. He had a 2.63 ERA with a 5.2 FWAR. The main reason I do not have Garrett Cole higher on this list is because of his age and for the fact that he got lucky in 2023. With having a BABIP at 261 when the major league average is 297, and for the fact that his career BABIP is 293, I do think Garrett Cole has gotten lucky in that department. And even with that luck, Garrett Cole was still a top 10 pitcher regardless. I just wonder, with him turning 33 and with him having a little bit of luck the past season with BABIP, with him getting a little bit older and potentially maybe being unlucky, does Garrett Cole have the chance to fall out of the top 10? I actually do think Garrett Cole has the potential to fall out the top 10, but that would be more so the competition at the top than him as a pitcher. Either way, he's had a very strong career and you tip your cap to the longevity that he's displayed. Coming in at 8th place, we have Freddy Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers. In 2023, he had a 3.86 ERA and a 3.0 FWAR. The biggest thing that held Freddy Peralta back in 2023 was the long ball. His home run rate of 1.41 is above his career norm of 1.10, and it resulted in his ERA being higher than most. The good thing is that advanced stats seem to lean towards it being fluky, more so than it's a sign to be concerned over. But if Freddy Peralta's home run woes continue, he will be off this list altogether. But given the fact that he's age 28 and has shown in the past a domination, I couldn't leave him off the list altogether because he had a 3.86 ERA in 2023. When it comes to 2024 and Freddy Peralta, we just have to see if this home run rate is his new norm or it was just an outlier of a season for him. Coming in at 7th place, we have Justin Steele of the Chicago Cubs. In 2023, he had a 3.06 ERA and a 4.9 FWAR. I don't really have anything to downplay Justin Steele's season. It's just the fact that, yes, he was good in 2022, but he wasn't as good as he was this season. What he pitched this season was like a top 5 pitcher. If he pitches like this again, he might be at number 3 or number 2 or even number 1 next year. I need to see him pitch like this again just once more. But given the fact that he's 28, he's had back-to-back good years, his advanced numbers say none of this was really that fluky. I want to see what Justin Steele has to offer, and I can see him growing higher the next time I do this list. Coming in at 6th place, I have Zack Eflin of the Tampa Bay Rays. He had a 3.50 ERA and accumulated a 4.8 F-WAR. Of all of the people on this list, he was the hardest for me to actually rank in the top 10, but given his career up to this point, he had been like a number 4 starter. In his 2023 season, he was arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball. All of his advanced stats check out. Even his BABIP was right around major league average. He was at 295. His hard hit rate wasn't extremely high. There was nothing in his numbers to indicate that he can't do this again next year. It's just the fact that we know who Zack Eflin has been for a majority of his career with the Philadelphia Phillies, and it wasn't the Zack Eflin that we saw with the Tampa Bay Rays. But also, the Tampa Bay Rays are a team that knows how to get the most out of their pitchers, so they saw something in his game that could potentially change him. Looking at Zack Eflin's pitching repertoire, in 2022 he threw the 4-seamer at 15.5%, and in 2023 he only threw it at 6.2%, while he added a cutter and threw that at 26.1%. And while he threw the cutter in 2022, he only threw it at 15.5%, and in 2023 he threw it at 26.1%. So him throwing the cutter more and the 4-seam fastball less seemed to be the difference for him. We'll see if that continues into 2024. There is only one stat with Zack Eflin that I might be a little bit worried about. His barrel rate was high, but his hard hit rate wasn't high though. So they were barreling the ball, but the other hits besides the barrel rate were not hit as hard, which is why his hard hit rate isn't as high. So I want to see if that carries over into 2024. But when you factor all of the things about Zack Eflin, he has changed as a pitcher. And if he pitches like this again, people are going to be on notice for Zack Eflin, and he may be on AL Cy Young watch. Coming in at 5th place, we have Zack Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies. He had a 3.61 ERA and a 5.9 F-WAR. Zack Wheeler has pitched like a top 3 pitcher in baseball. He's also done in the postseason now. The only thing about Zack Wheeler is we have to worry about his age as he's turned 33. But everything about Zack Wheeler over the course of the last few years, you know what you're getting. You're getting a top pitcher who's going to deliver night in and night out. What else do you really need me to say? The only thing that would really stop Zack Wheeler from being on this list again is his age. Everything else he does as a pitcher, it's of the top variety. I wanted to keep this one short and simple. There's really nothing you could say to justify Zack Wheeler not being a top 5 pitcher at this point. You would have to be a hater to disagree. Coming in at 4th place, we have Pablo Lopez of the Minnesota Twins. In 2023, Pablo Lopez had a 3.66 ERA and a 4.5 F-WAR. Now, I know some of you might be surprised by me putting Pablo Lopez on this list. This one might be a little bit of projection, but when you actually see his advanced stats, he changed as a pitcher in 2023. He greatly improved in 2023. And when you keep money at .313 BABIP, he was a bit unlucky as well. But when it comes to barrel, hard hit percentage, and all the advanced stats, it was showing that Pablo Lopez was literally a top 3 pitcher in 2023. I think he's gonna finally be able to put it all together, be a little bit less unlucky with BABIP, and be in the Cy Young discussion, because what he did in 2023, he upped his repertoire. And the reason for me believing in this as well is his velocity increased this year. If his velocity stays the same, there is no reason he won't be arguably a top 5 pitcher this year. Coming in at 3rd place, we have Max Fried of the Atlanta Braves. In 2023, he had a 2.55 ERA and a 1.9 WAR. You may be wondering as to why the WAR was so low. He was not able to stay healthy in 2023. But prior to the injuries in his year in 2022, there was no denying this man's greatness. And the fact that when he pitched in 2023, he was still very elite and effective, I have him as a top 3 pitcher going into this year. And he's entering a free agency year as well, and pitchers tend to do better in those years. I see Max Fried delivering when he needs it most. All of Max Fried's advanced stats check out. The only thing that would withhold him from being on the top 10 pitchers list would be injuries. So we will see in 2024 if the injuries continue with Max Fried, but if not, expect him to be a top pitcher this season and expect him to get paid this offseason as well. Coming in at 2nd place, we have Corbin Burnes of the now Baltimore Orioles. In 2023, Corbin Burnes had a 3.39 ERA with a 3.4 F-WAR. Corbin Burnes since 2020 has been nothing short of phenomenal. He has been the best pitcher in baseball, and with the free agency looming for him, I'm expecting another big year for him. The only reason he isn't number 1 on this list is because the guy above him, I think he's gonna finally put everything together and win a Cy Young. But if we're going based off of actual performance and track record, Corbin Burnes has been the best pitcher, but I do think one pitcher might be able to overtake him, as he has been a little bit unlucky. unlucky. I'm talking about the other pitcher. But as far as Corbin Burnes though, there's no luck with him as all of his advanced stats check out, and he's just a monster on the mound, to be real with you. And when we look back at my list, you guys may think I'm a fool for not having him number 1, but we will see. I do wonder if the transition from the NL Central to the AL East may affect Corbin Burnes, because the AL East is a tougher division than the NL Central, but that is something we need to pay attention to this season if it's going to be an adjustment for Corbin Burnes. But either way, he deserves to be here as one of the top pitchers in baseball. Coming in at number 1, who I think will be the best pitcher in baseball, is Spencer Strider of the Atlanta Braves. In 2023, he had a 3.86 ERA with a 5.5 F-WAR. Spencer Strider was very unlucky in 2023. He had a BABIP of 316, which is really high, but his advanced stats say he should have an ERA closer to around 3 than it was to 4 where he was at. And when it comes to baseball and pitching, some years you're just going to be unlucky and some years you're going to put it all together. Spencer Strider has been on the Cy Young conversation since he started pitching full-time, and I think this is the season where he puts it all together and will have that year. Despite even having a high BABIP, he still will win the Cy Young. But when you take advanced stats, the fact that his K rate is over 13, he's striking out pitchers at a rate we haven't seen since Randy Johnson. It's truly special and remarkable, and when it comes to pitchers like Spencer Strider, you just have to watch and enjoy it, because it's a beauty watching him strike batters out. So yes, this is my list of the top 10 starting pitchers entering the 2024 season. I also had 5 honorable mentions for you. You guys let me know in the comment section, what pitcher do you think I rated too highly? What pitcher do you think I rated too lowly? If there was a pitcher that I left off this list, which pitcher do you think is most justifiable in being in the top 10 or the honorable mention? And what pitcher on this list do you think is the least justified in being in the top 10 or honorable mention? I would love to hear it in the comment section. But as you know, with Paint the Black Baseball, I'm always going to give you consistent baseball analysis, so make sure to subscribe, turn the notification bell for all my videos so you can like and participate in the comment section. If you made it to this point, I also have other videos that I know you will enjoy on this channel. Go ahead and check them out. I hope you have a great day.